Very good. Part deux. Deux. Deux.
Bob, do you speak enough French to navigate France?
No, not at all. German would be my language. I'd do better in Germany than I would in France. And I wouldn't do particularly well there either. Well, hello. Well, is this like church? Everybody sits in the back. Okay. You won't have any trouble hearing, I don't think. Well, I don't need to do a lot of introduction, except thank you for asking me to do this again. But it's not again, because this is all new things that we haven't seen. Here's Katie. Hello. So I think we'll barge right in. Again, please, let's have discussion. I am not the answer man about French organs. Some of you may know more about aspects of this than I do. And I'm not going to say a whole lot because the music speaks for itself. I have the pertinent data about each organ included on the pictures here. So let's start. One of the other great churches in Paris that we did not get to last year is Saint-Eustache. You see how ancient it is. If you know the name Jean Guillou, he was the organist here. Did any of you ever hear him play and do an improvisation? Wild and crazy stuff. Oh, it was a little over the top as far as I was concerned. Saint-Eustache is in the middle of a portion of Paris known as Les Halles, or Les Halles, if you want to say it the American way. A really old place that was originally, where this was an old food market. So I think Les Halles means the halls, but it's a whole big park now. It was just a delightful place to be. You see the church there. My sister and I needed to use the restroom one time, and there was really nowhere here to do that, oddly enough, that we could find. So the church is over here. We had to walk. I say we had to. It was delightful to walk all the way through this park. And right here were some restrooms, but you needed some special card to get in there, so that didn't happen. Then we thought, well, surely something in here. So we walked into there and came in this. So you see the church in the background. Came down these stairs, and it's this massive modern shopping complex. And we paid our money and took advantage of the facilities there. So that's the location of this very historic area. The organ underwent numerous unfortunate changes in the 20th century. In 1985, the city of Paris organized a European competition to rebuild the instrument. Jean-Louis Cogniet designed the organ under the direction of titular organist Jean Guillou. The Dutch company Van der Havel was the winner. A Dutch organ in Paris, can you imagine? The organ's entirely new. Apparently the old organ had been changed and perhaps butchered so many times that they just started all over again. This is the magnificent console. As with most of the organs, as you'll see, the pipes are on the back wall in a balcony or a gallery, and the console is right below the pipes, kind of a tracker sort of thing. But they have built a console down on the main floor that's even bigger. This is just 4 manuals, this one's 5. And it is the largest organ in France. And we were fortunate enough to be there at a time when there was an organist played by Francois Olivier, the titular organist of the choir. Remember, we talked about how often the choir is in the very, very front of the church, often behind the high altar. And so there's this big organ in the back and then a smaller organ that is used to accompany the choir. He usually plays that smaller organ in the very front, but he's playing the biggie this time, and I think you'll recognize the music. Notice again that reedy sound of the organ. It's so fascinating to me as you move from Germany, just a few miles into France, how suddenly in Germany, a full organ sound often has no reeds at all. And you can't really do full organ in France unless you've got a whole bunch of battery of reeds, like we like to say, playing. Well, here's a different kind of an experience in a smaller church with a very modest two-manual, again, a cavaille organ. This gentleman is going to do a little improvisation at the beginning, and then he's going to do a series of pieces from the Carnival of the Animals and Handel Concerto a little bit at the end. So it's kind of an extended section. But notice a few things. You'll hear at certain points he's playing on the great flute here on the great lower manual. And it's a Borden. And it's the most charming thing. It's got a little chiff and it's got beautiful overtones. It's not the heavy woofy sound we often think of for a French flute. Just charming. And a number of very charming sound effects and a satisfying full organ too. So the other thing here is remember the couplers and the ventals with which you can set up the organ ahead of time, with the reeds in particular, and kick a pedal which denies wind to those reeds. And so you can quickly just click that pedal and then the reed sounds can be added, which you've set up in advance. It's a nice precursor to all the pistons we use today. The board on.
very fun. You know, Danse Macabre of Saint-Saëns, it's inspired by the Danse Macabre with, sorry, and you can hear Au clair de la nuit, several children songs, and j'ai du monde là-bas, I don't know in English if it's known, or how to direct maman. Fossil, it's dans la terre, les arbres, les coquillages, des animaux préhistoriques.
Okay, now I need to move to a different program. That was the end of last year's presentations. So, moving right along. Notre Dame du Champ. Another call organ, they're just everywhere. Pretty much from kind of early 1800s, right through to the end of the 1800s. Another rather modest one, 2 manuals, 26 stops. Here I'm playing, you may know that famous fanfare by Jacques Lemons. Dun, 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 dun. A good bit. I didn't know, but it's actually 3 pieces. And the final is what I'll be kind of trying to play here a little bit on this organ. Notice, again, the reed sounds. He registers that these organists, when you go, their organist is always there with us, and there's, again, this lineup of 10, 15, 20 people waiting for their time to get to the organ. So you have to keep things moving, so they always register pieces. So even though it's me playing, it's their French registration being used. Again, notice on a small organ how the effect is. Even when I get to the middle piece in this section, he's still got the reeds on. Notice, pay close attention, at one point he goes in and takes off the stop, but he leaves the oboe stop on. So even in the section, got to have it down there. Pushing the expression pedal as close as I can get it. There it is. You know, people ask me that so many times. When I stop to think about it, I never thought about the act, which means it was easy. Hard, I would have. No, between the Barker levers that we talked about last time, that provides pneumatic assistance to lowering the weighting mechanisms, they're just really well-built organs. And even when I played Sans-Sulpice on 2 occasions, the touch never occurred to me at all. So they're incredibly well engineered.
How about the pedals? Because this was from the 1870s, but it didn't seem like you had no issue at all with the pedals. It felt very natural.
Yeah. They're often more flat, and not always AGO dimensions, so sometimes they're a little thinner. Mistakes than usual when I was playing on them. So, not too bad. This is an interesting place. The Protestant Church, the Oratory of the Louvre. This building was originally the official chapel for the Louvre, the palace for the French kings. Napoleon gave it to the Protestants. Remember, the Protestants had been persecuted early in their time, horrible persecutions of Protestants in France. But Napoleon, who did everything he could to eliminate the Catholic Church, in this instance gives kind of a present to the Protestants. They get the building. And active, Reformed, Calvinist. The Gonzalez organ, a fairly new instrument. I think next. First of all, it's the organist improvising. You'll know this new organ where you can have kind of, about, and we're going to have one set of stops for the left hand and different solo accompaniment, even on a one manual organ. He can do melody with his right foot and some harmony with his left foot. There were a lot of other trinkets that were fastened on this organ, but here he is demonstrating. I don't know if you could tell, but those were suede organ shoes he was wearing. Very chic. So then he proceeded to do an extended improvisation, starting with the French Baroque classic style, playing a number of different kinds of movements, kind of like the suites that we're focusing on tonight in South Carolina Bach. And then he just moves right over into romantic style improvisation, and then slowly. The man didn't open up a sheet of music. He was there. He's made me sick. Just like I improvise for communion every Sunday. Same thing. Same thing. Remarkable, isn't it? Here's La Trinité, another Kavaya call, modified significantly this time. This was the church of Guillemont and Messayen, and more recently, Naji Hakim. I'm not going to play what I recorded here because it didn't go well. The organ was quite out of tune, and it took him forever to set up the organ. And I didn't play all that well once all that was over. But look at the stops in that organ. This is Messayen's organ, and you think of the complexity of his music. It's not much of an organ compared to some of the others that you heard, and all the effects that he managed to get out of that. They have this information up. They have this plaque on the exterior to the building, and I got this from their webpage regarding Messayen. It's worth hearing. I'm not always really fond of his music, but I have great respect for him as a Christian and as a musician. This is what the church webpage says. Having never wanted to separate his Christian faith from his music, Olivier Messayen has carried out his mission as a liturgical organist for more than 60 years. And when he was present at the Trinité, it was first of all as a Christian. From the top of the organ gallery, accompanied by his wife Yvonne Loyal, whatever, he participated attentively in the Mass, in prayer and contemplation. The organ was his world, all his life. I love my organ. He is my brother to me, a son, and I would be desperate to part with him. What was astonishing about this composer of universal renown was the simplicity with which he performed his service. One of his greatest joys was to improvise on plainsong. He always tried to respect as much as possible the tone of the feast being celebrated, the color of the day's readings. Drawing on the richness of the liturgical cycle, it was on the organ of the Trinité that Messayen experimented with his varied timbre and found the inspiration for his main works, the Nativité, Transfiguration, L'Ascension, La Pentecost, the Mystery of the Holy Trinity, the Eucharist. People came from all over the world to listen to this stained glass music, a veritable theological rainbow. Saint Etienne du Mont, the Deux church. I had a marvelous experience playing this organ, but the recording didn't come out very well. I had a chance to play the last movement of Langlet's Suite Medieval, and I had a lot of fun with that on this organ. Here you see Maurice and Madeleine Durflay holding forth there. You see a sign, some of you who can translate the French better than I. The Church of Saint Etienne du Mont started during the reign of Francois I, and the building was finished at the reign of Lovis the 13th, whom I haven't heard of.
Louis.
Is that, oh, of course, Louis. Yeah, thank you, of course. Here's a little view of the area there. If that doesn't scream France, I don't know what does. There's some pictures of the situation of the organ off on the gallery off to the right as you look toward the west end or back of the church. Notice those spiral stairs at the front. Remarkable. We had no encounters with surly Frenchmen or women anywhere. You know, you're always warned that in France, be prepared that they will be rude. Far from that. This was our waiter with some of our group. They're having a wonderful meal. And we asked him to take our picture. And he knew how to switch the camera around so that he included himself in the picture. Very good-natured guy. And here I am having as French a lunch as I could imagine. This is a what? This is a croque madame. A croque monsieur is a ham sandwich, but better than any ham sandwich I had in America. And then if they slap an egg on top of it, then it's a croque madame. And here's my required bowl of French onion soup. One of the must-see places when you're in Paris is Montmartre, Mount of the Martyrs, probably the highest point. I can't imagine a higher point in France. And there was a fairly modern cathedral that was built there in honor of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And there's these steps and this magnificent view of Paris from up there. And so all sorts of visiting groups just come and stand on the steps and play. So these look like middle school kids. We're forming a little flute choir, and you can get a little bit of a picture of what it looks like and feels like up there. And that's Paris and the organs of Paris. Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions anybody has that I can't answer?
This is the church that has the funicular behind it, going down.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we were ready for that by that time of day too. Yeah, walking the steps up there is a real feat. Do that, no pun intended.
So everything you did was in Paris, you didn't go to the surrounding?
This time, all we did was Paris. This is a compilation of two trips with the same touring group. And we did go to, is it Giverny, the place where the guy who cut off his ear, Van Gogh, did his final years in painting. We were there at one point. We also went to Alsace and spent a lot of time there the first year. The second year, my sister and I chose to do a few other things during those trips, since she had not been to Paris before.
Is there a duplication year to year, or was it completely separate sites?
A what?
Duplication. Did you guys group.
Yeah, we went to a lot of the same. There's some places, if you take a group, you just must go.
So when you got to experience the instruments more than.
That's right. I played Salsa Piece 2 times. I played a number of them. Yeah, 2 times. Yeah.
Did your visits change, how did that influence how you practiced or what you chose to do when you came home? I mean, are you learning French improvisation styles?
Yeah. I don't know that it did, interestingly. I know you're supposed to say, oh, yes, I came back a new man. I didn't. I'm not playing in those kinds of settings. My improvisational skills are dismal. Yeah. Frankly, I did. I don't mean this is not a compliment to myself, it's to my instructors, but I learned I was well taught. As I heard, there was one point I was playing a French Baroque piece on this organ, and Daniel Rote, the longtime organist of Salsa Piece, was giving us a workshop, and he was standing right behind me. I was playing, and there was this place where I did a double trill with my right hand and left hand together that was not written in the score. And Daniel elbowed his student that was next to him and said, "See that? See that?" And I thought, okay, yeah, and there were a number of times people had complimentary things, well-known organists had complimentary things to say of my playing, which told me I had been well instructed. So I was encouraged. I think what I came back with was encouragement and gratitude for my teachers.
We're lucky guys, you know, if you are in any of these major cities, we have so many friends that I'm telling other folks, you know, we have a lot of our scholarship kids. One of our scholarship kids just is now going to be the organ scholar at Westminster Abbey in London. Mm. One of our, the Greater Bridgeport scholarship kids. And we have Jacob Bruce is at St. John Divine. He said, anybody wants to go play the organ there? Come see him. We have Alan Montgomery at Riverside Church. He said, anybody wants to come play the organ there? We have friends at the Boardwalk organ. We have friends at the Loudmaker. So if you want to bang on any of those instruments, let us know. I get you into any of the New York, you know, New York places, and anything at Yale. You know, I've got the Yale keys.
Wow.
What's
All right.
next? Are you going to go back?
No, not a third time.
Are you going to do a German tour? Organize an American tour?
My family is from the southwestern portion of Germany, the Rhineland, what's called the Pfalz sometimes. And my older sister wants me to take her over to see where our descendants came from, our ancestors came from. And I wouldn't mind seeing some more things over there. Berlin, the Berliner Dome, the cathedral, Protestant cathedral, Berlin, is exactly the different sound from all of these, this Germanic, Romantic kind of a sound. It is, now there was a different touch. You asked me about the touch. There was something very spongy. I think it was a tubular pneumatic organ. And it just, you went to play the keys and it was just like, it was all spongy. And I thought, now that's different. But again, we only had a few minutes. I just played a quiet Rager piece and that's all I did on that.
Have you done any of them in Austria, in Salzburg, and some of those that
No.
have little sticks for pedals that are like, talk about it. No
Yeah.
pedal boards and there's little sticks.
Speaking of pedal boards in Austria, we were at this one church where there was a double pedal board. There was the main pedal board, then up above it was another set of pedals. I don't know what that was all about, but yeah. Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.